Captain Tae-ho Kim stared at the peaceful blue planet spinning slowly below his ship. New Seoul Colony looked perfect from space. Green fields covered most of the land, and small cities dotted the coastlines. 20,000 humans lived down there, farming and mining rare metals. They had built a good life on this distant world. "Captain, we're getting a strange signal," said his communications officer. "It's coming from the outer system." Tae-ho frowned. His patrol ship Crimson Dawn was supposed to guard 3 human colonies in this sector. But space was huge, and his ship was small. Most days nothing happened. Pirates sometimes tried to steal cargo ships, but real threats were rare. "Put it on screen," he ordered. The main display flickered. Instead of the usual shipping schedules, red warning symbols filled the screen. Someone was broadcasting an emergency signal from Harmony Station, the mining colony 2 systems over. "This is Administrator Jin Woo Choi," a young man's voice crackled through static. "We are under attack. Unknown ships appeared out of nowhere. They're not responding to communications. They're just... Oh God, they're firing on the civilian areas." The signal cut to nothing. Tae-ho felt ice in his stomach. "Set course for Harmony Station. Maximum speed." His ship jumped to faster than light travel, but it would take 6 hours to reach Harmony Station. During those long hours, more signals came in. Dr. Sora Park from the research station on New Seoul Colony sent frantic messages about massive ships appearing in her system. Then her signal stopped too. When Crimson Dawn finally dropped out of jump space near Harmony Station, Tae-ho saw horror. The mining platforms that had orbited the planet were gone. Twisted metal drifted through space. The planet's surface glowed with strange fires that burned in perfect circles where the cities used to be. "Scanning for survivors," his science officer reported. "I'm detecting life signs in the emergency bunkers, maybe 300 people. 300 out of 15,000. Sir, I'm picking up massive energy readings. Something big is coming." On the screen, space twisted and a ship appeared. It was huge, bigger than anything Tae-ho had ever seen. Its hull was black metal covered in sharp angles. Weapon ports glowed, with orange light along its sides. "This is Captain Tae-ho Kim of the Terran Defense Force," he broadcast. "Identify yourself." A reply came back in broken human language. "Weak species. Your worlds belong to Vorthak Empire now. Leave or die." More ships appeared, dozens of them. The alien fleet surrounded Harmony Station's dead planet like hungry wolves. Tae-ho knew his small patrol ship couldn't fight them, but he had to save the survivors. "Prepare emergency evacuation pods. We're going down to get our people." The rescue took 4 hours. The survivors told terrible stories. The aliens had given no warning. Their weapons turned entire city blocks into glass. Anyone who tried to surrender was killed anyway. The Vorthak wanted the humans gone, not captured. Dr. Sora Park was among the survivors. Her research station had been destroyed, but she had escaped with important data. "I managed to scan their ships before the attack," she told Tae-ho. "Their technology is advanced but not impossible. We can fight them." "With what?" Tae-ho asked. "They have hundreds of ships. We have patrol boats." Sora's eyes were hard with anger. "They made a mistake. They think we're weak because our colonies don't have big weapons. But they don't know about Earth. They don't know what we've been building." Back on Earth, Admiral Han-Sol Lee received Tae-ho's report in his deep underground command center. The admiral was old and had fought in the last war between human colonies 30 years ago. He thought those days of fighting were over. 3 colonies attacked, he said to his staff. 15,000 civilians dead. No survivors except for the ones Captain Kim rescued. The room was quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. For the first time since humans had spread to the stars, an alien force had attacked them. Not for resources or territory, but just to kill. "Sir," one of his officers said carefully, "should we contact the Galactic Council? Ask for help?" Admiral Han-Sol thought about the Galactic Council. It was a group of alien species that made rules for space travel and trade. Humans had been members for 50 years, but they were always treated like children. The older alien races thought humans were too young and too simple to matter. "Send them a message," the Admiral decided. Tell them about the attacks. Ask for protection for our remaining colonies. The reply came back 3 days later. The Council's message was polite but clear. They were sorry about the attacks. They would investigate, but they could not send military help. The Vorthak Empire was powerful, and the Council did not want a war. In other words, humans were on their own. Admiral Han Sol stood in his command center and looked at the star maps on the walls. Red marks showed where human colonies had been attacked. Blue marks showed where colonies still survived. There were 14 blue marks left. "Sir?" his aide asked quietly. "What are your orders?" The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then, he walked to a special panel on the wall and placed his hand on it. A scanner read his fingerprints and DNA. A hidden door opened, revealing a room that few people knew existed. Inside were more star maps, but these maps showed things that weren't in any official records. Secret bases, hidden shipyards, weapons that had been built in the darkness between stars. "Activate the Dragon Protocol," Admiral Han Sol said. His aide's eyes went wide. The Dragon Protocol was a legend. Stories said that Earth had built secret fleets, just in case humanity ever faced a threat that could destroy them all. But most people thought they were just stories. "Sir, are you sure?" Admiral Han Sol looked at the reports from the destroyed colonies. Pictures of burned cities, lists of dead civilians, children who would never grow up. "They touched our colonies," he said quietly. "They killed our people. They think we're weak because we live in peace." He turned to face his aide. "It's time to show them what sleeping dragons look like when they wake up." Across human space, secret signals went out. On hidden bases, automated systems came online for the first time in decades. In the darkness between stars, something vast began to stir. The Vorthak. General Bo-Ra Yoon had been waiting for this call her entire life. She stood in a room that didn't exist on any official maps, deep beneath the mountains of Korea. Around her, screens showed star charts that most humans had never seen. These were the real maps of human space. "Dragon Protocol is active." Admiral Han Sol's voice came through the secure channel. "How long do you need?" Bo-Ra looked at the massive displays around her. Each screen showed a different secret base coming online. Shipyards that had been hidden in asteroid fields, factories built inside dead planets, weapons platforms disguised as space junk. 72 hours for the first wave, she replied. 2 weeks for full deployment. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. The Galactic Council refused to help. They think this is our problem. Then they're about to learn something new about humans, Bo-Ra said. After the call ended, Bo-Ra walked through the command center. Her staff worked at stations controlling systems across the galaxy. These people had trained their whole lives for a war that everyone hoped would never come. "Status report," she ordered. Commander Jae-Min Song looked up from his station. He was young, but had trained on every type of human warship ever built. "The hidden yards at Titan are online. They're beginning production of new fighters. Wolf Base reports their stealth ships are ready for deployment." Engineer Heejin Kang checked her screens. "The quantum factories are working. We'll have new weapons ready in 48 hours. The aliens won't know what hit them." Bo-Ra nodded. For 100 years, since humans first reached the stars, they had prepared for this day. Earth's leaders knew that space was dangerous. They had built colonies that looked weak and peaceful. But behind that peaceful face, they had built the most advanced military force in the galaxy. On the diplomatic station near Earth, Ambassador Dong-Wook Nam was having a very different conversation. The Galactic Council had called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 12 alien species sat around a circular table, all looking uncomfortable. "The Vorthak attacks were unfortunate," said the Colony ambassador. "Her species looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin. But humans are new to galactic politics. Perhaps this is a learning experience." The Rigel representative nodded his massive head. His people were strong and warlike, but they respected the Council's rules. "The Vorthak Empire is powerful. It would be unwise to anger them over a few human colonies." Dong-Wook listened to them, make excuses. These aliens had been his friends for years. He had eaten at their tables, learned their languages, and respected their cultures. But now they were abandoning humanity when it needed help most. 15,000 humans are dead, he said quietly. Men, women, and children. Farmers and miners who never hurt anyone. And you're worried about making the Vorthak angry? We understand your pain, the Colony ambassador said. But the galaxy is bigger than any one species. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Dongwook stood up slowly. I see. Thank you for making your position clear. He walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. You know, when humans first joined the Council, we were told that it existed to protect peaceful species from threats. We believed that. We trusted you. The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. But you've taught us something. Valuable today? Dongwook continued. You've taught us that we can only count on ourselves, and that's fine, because you're about to see what happens when humans stop asking for help and start taking care of problems ourselves. He left the chamber without another word. Back on Earth, the first Dragon Fleet ships were emerging from their hidden bases. Captain Yejin Lim stood on the bridge of Terra's Fury, a ship that was supposed to be impossible. It was 2 kilometers long and covered in armor that could stop any known weapon. Its engines could bend space itself, letting it appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. All systems online, Captain, her first officer reported. The fleet is ready. Yejin looked at the tactical display. Around her ship, 40 other vessels waited in formation. Each one was armed with weapons that had been developed in secret for decades. Some could phase in and out of normal space. Others carried missiles that could destroy entire planets. Set course for the Vorthak border, she ordered. It's time to send a message. The Dragon Fleet moved through space like ghosts. Their stealth systems made them invisible to any sensors. They could travel faster than any known ship, and they were completely silent as they approached the first Vorthak outpost. The outpost was built around a small moon. It had defense platforms and a small fleet of patrol ships. The Vorthak thought it was safe behind their energy shields and weapon arrays. They were wrong. Terra's Fury appeared out of nowhere, its main guns charging with blue fire. The other Dragon Fleet ships materialized around the outpost like demons from space. Before the Vorthak could even send a warning, their base was gone. But the humans didn't stop there. Over the next week, 12 more Vorthak outposts simply vanished. Supply convoys disappeared without a trace. Communication relays went silent. The Vorthak Empire began to realize they were facing something they had never seen before. Emperor Vaktor of the Vorthak sat in his throne room, watching reports from his military commanders. His species had conquered 40 star systems. They were feared across the galaxy. But these humans were making his forces look like children. How are they doing this? He demanded. Our scouts say the human colonies have no defenses. Where are these ships coming from? General Morkex, his top military advisor, looked nervous. We don't know, Emperor. Our intelligence was wrong. The humans have technology we've never seen. Their ships can appear and disappear at will. Their weapons cut through our shields like paper. Then we attack their homeworld. Vaktor roared. Destroy Earth and end this. We tried, Emperor. 3 fleets jumped to the Earth system. None of them came back. Vaktor stared at the general. What do you mean, none came back? They vanished, Emperor. Our long-range sensors detected massive energy readings, then nothing. It's like the Earth system is protected by invisible walls. For the first time in his life, Emperor Vaktor felt fear. His empire had grown strong by attacking weak species. But these humans weren't weak. They had been pretending to be weak while building something terrible in the darkness. On the bridge of Terra's Fury, Captain Yejin watched the tactical reports come in. The Vorthak were pulling back from human space, calling their fleets home to defend their core worlds. They're scared, her tactical officer observed. Good, Yejin replied. But this is just the beginning. They wanted to see what happens when you attack human colonies. Now they're going to learn what sleeping dragons really are. Behind her, the rest of the Dragon Fleet moved through space like silent death. The Vorthak had started this war by The Vorthak shipyard at Keth Prime was the largest military facility in their empire. Massive construction platforms built their biggest warships in the shadow of a red giant star. The shipyard was protected by defense stations, patrol fleets, and energy barriers that could stop any attack. Captain Ye-Jin Lim studied the tactical display from the bridge of Terra's Fury. The target looked impossible to destroy. But that was exactly why the Dragon Fleet was here. "Begin phase shift," she ordered. Around her ship, reality began to bend. The Dragon Fleet's most secret technology allowed them to slip between dimensions, moving through spaces that didn't exist in normal physics. To outside observers, the ships simply faded away like ghosts. The fleet moved through the twisted space between dimensions, traveling toward the heart of the Vorthak shipyard. Enemy sensors couldn't detect them. Defense weapons couldn't target them. They were invisible until they chose to become real again. Emerging from phase shift in 3, 2, 1. 40 Dragon Fleet ships appeared inside the shipyard's defenses. The Vorthak had never seen anything like it. One moment their sensors showed empty space. The next moment enemy warships were firing at point-blank range. Terra's Fury's main guns charged with brilliant white energy. The quantum cannons could rewrite matter at the atomic level, turning solid metal into empty space. When they fired, sections of the shipyard simply ceased to exist. Other Dragon Fleet ships used different weapons. Some fired missiles that aged their targets to dust in seconds. Others projected energy fields that made gravity reverse itself, tearing structures apart from the inside. Specialist Suho Park worked at his console, jamming every communication system in the area. "They can't call for help, Captain. We own their networks now." The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the greatest shipyard in Vorthak space was debris floating around a dying star. But the Dragon Fleet hadn't lost a single ship. "Phase shift on my command," Captain Ye-Jin ordered. "Let's find our next target." The ships faded back into dimensional space, leaving only wreckage and confusion behind. Dr. Woojin Kim watched the battle reports from his laboratory on Luna Base. As the lead physicist for the Dragon Fleet project, he had spent 20 years developing weapons that seemed impossible. Now he was seeing them work perfectly in real combat. "The quantum cannons are performing better than expected," he told his assistant. "The Vorthak armor can't adapt to weapons that rewrite physics." His newest project was even more ambitious. The temporal displacement cannon could age targets by millions of years in seconds. Time itself became a weapon. He had tested it on asteroids, watching solid rock crumble to cosmic dust. "Doctor, we're getting reports from the front lines," his assistant said. "The Vorthak are trying to copy our technology. They've captured some wreckage from their destroyed bases." Woojin smiled. "Let them try. They're looking at effects, not causes. It would take them centuries to understand how our weapons really work." Commander Yun Young led her special operations team through the corridors of a Vorthak research station. They had infiltrated the facility using personal phase shift devices, walking through walls like they weren't there. "Target acquired," she whispered into her comm unit. "We have eyes on their central computer core." The mission was simple but crucial. The Dragon Fleet needed detailed information about Vorthak military assets. Rather than trying to break their codes, it was easier to just steal their data directly. Her team moved like shadows through the station. The Vorthak guards couldn't see them, couldn't hear them, and couldn't fight what they couldn't detect. In 30 minutes, the humans had copied every file in the computer system and vanished without a trace. "Data package secured," Yun Young reported. "We know where everything is now." Back in his command center, Emperor Vaktor stared at reports that made no sense. Human ships were attacking targets across his empire, but they moved faster than his fleets could respond. They appeared from nowhere, destroyed everything in their path, then vanished again. "How many ships do they have?" he demanded. General Morkex looked at the scattered reports. "We don't know, Emperor. Our observers report different fleet compositions at each attack. It's like they're building new ships faster than we can count them." "Then we need allies. Contact the Rigel Confederation. Offer them territory in exchange for military support." The general looked uncomfortable. "We already tried, Emperor. The Rigel said they won't fight humans, they're afraid." Vaktor couldn't believe it. The Rigel were the strongest warriors in the galaxy. If they were afraid of humans, what did that say about humanity's true power? What about the other council? Species? The same answer from all of them, Emperor. No one wants to fight the humans now. For the first time, Vaktor began to understand the mistake his empire had made. They had attacked what they thought was a weak, primitive species. Instead, they had awakened something that the rest of the galaxy feared. On the bridge of Terra's Fury, Captain Yejin received a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Han Sol's face appeared on her screen, looking tired but determined. "Captain, we're moving to the next phase," the Admiral said. "Intelligence reports that the Vorthak are pulling their fleets back to defend their core worlds. It's time to take the fight to them directly." Yejin nodded. "What are our orders, sir?" "Full Dragon Fleet deployment. Every ship, every weapon, every secret we've been hiding. The Vorthak wanted a war. We're going to give them one they'll never forget." The tactical display updated, showing the positions of Dragon Fleet forces across the galaxy. There were more ships than the Vorthak had ever imagined. Hundreds of vessels, all armed with weapons that defied known science. "Sir, what about the Galactic Council?" Yejin asked. "They still refuse to support us." Admiral Han Sol's expression was hard. "The Council had their chance to help. They chose to abandon us. Now they get to watch what happens when humans stop asking for permission and start solving problems ourselves." The transmission ended and Captain Yejin turned to her crew. "All ships prepare for full deployment. We're taking this war to the Vorthak home systems." On her tactical display, dozens of red dots marked Vorthak military targets. In a few hours, the Dragon Fleet would begin the largest military operation in human history. The aliens had touched human colonies and killed human civilians. Now they were going to learn what dragons looked like when they stopped hiding in the darkness. The war was about to become something the galaxy had never seen before. And at the center of it all, humanity was no longer the weak species that others. Admiral Mi-Ray Jung stood in the command center of the Second Dragon Fleet's flagship, watching as her forces prepared for the largest human military operation in history. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of over 300 Dragon Fleet vessels, all moving toward Vorthak space like a storm of metal and fire. "Fleet status report," she ordered. Captain Kyung-Ho Lee checked his tactical station. "All Dragon Fleet elements are in position, Admiral. First Fleet is engaging. Vorthak border defenses. Third Fleet is cutting their supply lines. Fourth Fleet is hitting their communication networks. And the Ghost Fleets? Already deployed, Admiral. The automated ships are hunting down any Vorthak vessel they can find. The enemy has lost 60% of their patrol forces in the last week." Mi-Ray nodded with satisfaction. The Ghost Fleets were one of humanity's most terrifying weapons. Completely automated warships controlled by advanced AI, they hunted enemy vessels with perfect coordination and no fear of death. Each Ghost ship was small, but they attacked in swarms of hundreds. Dr. Haewon Choi looked up from her psychological analysis station. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from several Vorthak colony worlds. The local governors are asking for protection from their own military." "Interesting. What's your assessment, Doctor?" Haewon had spent years studying alien psychology, preparing for exactly this kind of war. "The Vorthak Empire is breaking apart, Admiral. Their species respects only strength, and we've proven we're stronger than they are. The smart ones are trying to switch sides before we destroy them completely." On the main display, streams of data showed the collapse of Vorthak resistance across multiple star systems. Their fleets were retreating toward their home worlds, abandoning outer territories to save their core systems. "They're making the same mistake humans made with our colonies," Mi-Ray observed. "They think if they pull back and defend their important worlds, they can survive. But we're not here to take territory. We're here to end their ability to threaten anyone ever again." Colonel Sung-Min Park led his Marine assault forces through the corridors of a Vorthak command station. The aliens had thought the station was safe, hidden in an asteroid field deep in their territory. They had forgotten that humans could phase shift through solid matter. "Resistance is minimal," he reported to his command team. "Most of the Vorthak troops surrendered as soon as they saw us. They've heard what happens to soldiers who fight human Marines. The stories were true. Human Marines didn't just win battles. They won them so completely that enemy forces lost the will to fight. Personal phase shift technology meant they could appear anywhere on a battlefield. Powered armor made them nearly indestructible, and their weapons could punch through any known defense. "Secure the command center," Shungmin ordered. "We need their strategic databases intact." His Marines moved through the station like ghosts, appearing in rooms full of Vorthak officers who could only stare in terror. Within an hour, the humans had control of the entire facility without firing a shot. Back on the flagship, Admiral Mirai received the intelligence data from the captured command station. The information was even better than she had hoped. "They're planning something desperate," Captain Kyung-ho reported. "The Vorthak are pulling every ship they have back to their home system. They want to make a final stand." "How many ships?" "Over 2,000, Admiral. Every warship in their empire, plus civilian vessels they've converted to military use. They're betting everything on one massive battle." Dr. Haewon studied the tactical projections. "This fits their psychology perfectly. The Vorthak believe that if they can win one great victory, they can force us to negotiate. They don't understand that we're not interested in negotiation." Mirai looked at the star charts showing the Vorthak home system. It was heavily defended with orbital weapons platforms and massive defensive fleets. A conventional attack would cost thousands of human lives, but the Dragon fleet was anything but conventional. "Signal all fleet commanders," she ordered. "We're moving to end this war. Prepare the reality weapons." Across the galaxy, other alien species watched the war with growing fear. The Colony ambassador who had refused to help humanity now sat in emergency council sessions, trying to understand what they were seeing. "The humans have deployed over 500 warships," she reported to her government. "Ships that didn't exist 6 months ago. Where did they come from?" Her military advisor looked at the intelligence reports with confusion. "Their technology is beyond anything we've seen. They can travel faster than our best ships. Their weapons ignore our understanding of physics, and their automated fleet seem to think and adapt like living beings. What does this mean for the Galactic Council?" "It means we made a terrible mistake, Ambassador. We thought humans were weak because their colonies had no defenses. We didn't realize they were hiding their strength. Now they've shown us what they're really capable of." The Colony ambassador felt sick. Her species had been part of the Galactic Council for 1,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall, but they had never seen anything like humanity's true military power. "Contact the human ambassador," she ordered. "Tell him we want to discuss cooperation." Emperor Vaktor stood in his throne room, watching the destruction of his empire on a dozen screens. Human fleets were systematically destroying everything he had built over decades of conquest. "The outer systems have fallen," General Morkex reported. "All our mining colonies, all our military bases, all our communication networks. We've lost contact with 70% of our territory. And our allies. Gone, Emperor. The species that used to fear us are now sending peace offerings to the humans. Some are even providing intelligence about our remaining forces." Vaktor clenched his fists. His empire had seemed unstoppable just months ago. Now it was crumbling faster than he could comprehend. "How long until the human fleets reach our home system?" 3 days, Emperor. Maybe less if they use their phase shift technology. Then we make our stand here. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. If we're going to fall, we'll take as many humans with us as possible." But as the Emperor spoke those words, he felt a cold certainty in his heart. The humans had shown mercy to Vorthak civilians who surrendered. They had spared worlds that didn't resist. But they had shown no mercy at all to military forces that tried to fight them. In 3 days, the dragons would arrive at his homeworld. And Vaktor was beginning to understand that his empire's time was over. Admiral Mirai watched the final preparations for the assault on the Vorthak home system. Her fleet had grown to over 400 ships, with more arriving every hour. But the real surprise was still hidden in dimensional space, waiting for the right moment to appear. "Admiral," Captain Kyung-ho said quietly, "long-range sensors are detecting something else. Ancient energy signatures approaching from outside the galaxy. The computer can't identify them. Mi-Ray frowned. That wasn't possible. Nothing lived in the empty space between galaxies. How far out? 6 months, maybe less, and Admiral, the energy readings are enormous. Whatever's coming is bigger than anything we've ever seen. For the first time since the war began, Admiral, Mi-Ray felt a chill of fear. The Dragon fleet had been built to fight empires and species, but these readings suggested something far more dangerous was approaching. Fleet Admiral Sang-Wook Kim stood in the deepest command center on Earth, looking at displays that showed the true scope of humanity's preparations. For 200 years, his species had been building for this moment. Not the war with the Vorthak, but what was coming after. The Vorthak home fleet is requesting surrender terms, Admiral Mi-Ray reported from her flagship. Emperor Vaktor himself is asking to negotiate. Accepted, Sang-Wook replied. But keep our fleets in position. We're going to need every ship for what's coming next. Dr. Yuri Nam looked up from her archaeological research station. She had spent decades studying the ruins of dead civilizations scattered across the galaxy. Now her work was finally relevant. Admiral, I finished analyzing the energy signatures from deep space. They match the technology that destroyed the Forerunner civilization 12 million years ago. Sang-Wook nodded grimly. The Forerunners had built an empire that spanned multiple galaxies. Their technology had been so advanced that they seemed like gods to younger species. Then something had come out of the darkness between stars and wiped them from existence. How long do we have? 4 months until they reach the outer rim of our galaxy. 6 months until they reach Earth. Captain Junho Yang, leader of the First Contact Protocol team, studied the ancient records that Dr. Yuri had uncovered. Sir, according to these files, the Forerunners called them the Devourers. They consume entire civilizations, taking their knowledge and technology before moving on to the next galaxy. And they're attracted by signs of advanced warfare, Dr. Yuri added. The Dragon Fleet's weapons have been broadcasting energy signatures across half the galaxy. We've basically sent them an invitation. Sang-Wook looked at the tactical displays showing human forces spread across dozens of star systems. The Dragon fleet was powerful enough to destroy any known empire, but according to the Forerunner records, the Devourers had technology that made even the dragons look primitive. Signal all fleet commanders, he ordered. Prepare for emergency redeployment, and send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them we need to talk. On the diplomatic station near Earth, Ambassador Dong-Wook Nam faced the same aliens who had refused to help humanity just months before. But now their attitudes were very different. Ambassador Nam, the Colony representative said nervously, we want to apologize for our previous response to your requests for aid. Perhaps we can discuss a new arrangement? The Rigel representative nodded his massive head. The Rigel Confederation would be honored to form a military alliance with humanity. Your Dragon fleet is impressive. Dong-Wook listened to their offers with cold satisfaction. A few months ago, these same aliens had called humans too weak to matter. Now they were begging for protection. Your offers are appreciated, he said calmly. But before we discuss alliances, there's something you need to know. The war with the Vorthak was just practice. The real threat is coming from outside our galaxy, and it's going to take everything we have to stop it. He activated a holographic display showing Dr. Yuri's research. The aliens stared in horror at the images of dead worlds and extinct civilizations. The Devourers destroyed the Forerunner Empire, Dong-Wook explained. They're attracted by advanced technology and warfare. Our Dragon fleet has drawn their attention and they're coming here. The council chamber fell silent. Every alien representative understood what this meant. The Devourers had wiped out civilizations far more advanced than anything in the current galaxy. What do you propose? The Colony ambassador asked quietly. Full military integration under human command, Dong-Wook replied. Your fleets, your technology, your soldiers, everything under Dragon Fleet authority. In return, we'll protect your worlds with everything we have. Commander Daeun-shin worked frantically in the expanded command center, coordinating the largest military mobilization in galactic history. Human engineers were upgrading alien ships with Dragonfleet technology. Alien crews were learning to work with human tactical systems. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now training together to face a common threat. Status report on the integrated fleets, Admiral Sang-wook requested. Better than expected, sir. The Rigel crews adapt quickly to our weapon systems. The Colonies are excellent at long-range coordination. Even some of the Vorthak survivors are volunteering to fight alongside us. And the new weapon systems? Da-Eun's expression was grim. Dr. Wu Jin's team has been working around the clock. The reality bombs are ready for deployment. If we can't stop the Devourers conventionally, we can literally erase sections of space-time. The reality bombs were humanity's most desperate weapon. They could destroy entire star systems by making them cease to exist. But using them would also damage the fabric of space itself, possibly causing unpredictable effects across the galaxy. 4 months later, the Devourers arrived. Their ships didn't look like ships at all. They were organic structures the size of moons covered in what looked like living metal that pulsed with dark energy. Scouts counted over 1,000 of the massive vessels approaching from the galactic rim. "My God," whispered Captain Ye Jin from the bridge of Terra's Fury. "They're beautiful and terrifying at the same time." The first battle took place in the Outer Reach, where human colonies had once been attacked by the Vorthak. Now those same worlds were defended by the combined fleets of 20 different species, all under human command. The Dragon Fleet struck first, using every weapon they had developed. Quantum cannons tore holes in space. Phase shift missiles appeared inside enemy vessels. Reality weapons tried to erase the Devourer ships from existence. For a moment, it seemed to work. Several of the organic ships were damaged, their dark energy flickering. Then the Devourers adapted. Their living metal began to shift and change, becoming immune to each weapon after the first few hits. Worse, they started copying human technology, growing new weapons based on what they observed. "They're learning," Dr. Haewon reported from her analysis station. "Every attack teaches them how to defend against it, and they're improving our own weapons, making them stronger." The battle raged for 3 days. The combined galactic fleet threw everything they had at the Devourers, but it wasn't enough. The alien ships were too advanced, too adaptable, too powerful. "Admiral," Captain Da-Eun reported, "we've lost 40% of our forces. If this continues, they'll break through to the core systems." Admiral Sang-wook stared at the tactical displays, watching his fleets being slowly overwhelmed. Everything humanity had built, every secret weapon they had developed, wasn't enough to stop these ancient killers. Then Dr. Yuri's voice came over the comm system. "Admiral, I found something in the Forerunner records. There's one weapon they never tried." "What is it?" "Not a weapon, a choice. The Devourers don't just destroy civilizations, they test them. If a species proves they're worthy, the Devourers move on. If not, they're consumed." "Worthy how?" "By protecting others, even at the cost of themselves. The Devourers respect sacrifice and cooperation. That's why they consumed the Forerunners. Despite all their power, they were selfish and fought only for themselves." Sang-wook understood immediately. Humanity had united the galaxy against this threat. They had shared their most advanced technology with former enemies. They had put themselves at the front of every battle to protect species that had once abandoned them. "Open a channel to the Devourer fleet," he ordered. The response came not in words, but in thoughts that appeared directly in every mind across the combined fleet. Ancient consciousness spoke across the void of space. "We have observed. We have tested. This galaxy produces cooperation where others showed only conflict. You defend the weak. You unite the divided. You sacrifice for those who cannot protect themselves. The test is complete. This galaxy is worthy." We move on. The massive organic ships began to fade, shifting into dimensions beyond normal space. Within hours, they were gone, returning to the darkness between galaxies to seek the next civilization that might prove worthy of survival. In the aftermath, the galaxy was forever changed. The Dragon Fleet remained active, but now as protectors rather than weapons of war. The Galactic Council was reorganized under human leadership, with new laws ensuring that no species would ever again be abandoned when they asked for help. Emperor Vaktor, now a prisoner on Earth, was given the chance to read the full report of what had happened. When he finished, he looked at his human guard with new understanding. "You knew," he said quietly. "When we attacked your colonies, you already knew this was coming. You were preparing for something far worse than our empire." The guard nodded. "The Dragon Fleet was never built to fight species like yours. We built it to protect everyone from things like the Devourers. Your attack just gave us an excuse to test our systems in real combat." "Then why did you spare us? Why didn't you destroy the Vorthak completely?" The human smiled. "Because the test wasn't just for the Devourers to judge us. It was for us to judge ourselves. We had to prove that we could be strong enough to destroy our enemies, but wise enough to show mercy when the fighting was over." On New Sol Colony, now rebuilt and stronger than ever, Dr. Sora Park stood in her new research station watching ships from dozens of species working together in the skies